Spoilers for all of ZZZ's main story. For those not familiar with my channel, hi, I'm Shiro. Welcome to the Matsunoki Cafe. Enjoy a cup of joe while watching the video if you feel so inclined. For those who are familiar with my channel, you may know I did a video on Zenless, specifically its story, back when 1.1 was the current version. That video didn't do so hot, so I was content leaving that as my last Zenless video for a good while as I focused more on my developing star rail analysis niche. But then 1.4 happened. When I saw that cutscene, I decided, screw the algorithm, I'm making another Zenless video. Plus, it'll be nice to take a break from analyzing HSR this week, especially after uploading my 3-hour-long compilation of Penacony character lore. I believe Zenless is an amazing and underrated game in the gacha market. I want to argue as much by highlighting multiple parts of the game, such as its gameplay, characters, art style, and its story. Zenless's general gameplay is so fun, dude. It's simple compared to other action RPGs, but 1, you have to remember this is a game people can play on their phones, and 2, the simplicity of the general combat mechanics helps to provide a solid framework for the game and help the flow of combat a ton. Zenless's combat is like Smash Bros in that it's easy to pick up at a baseline, but there's enough under the hood that only so many can truly master the ins and outs of everything. Plus, I feel you get enough complexity from the characters and their unique kits alone. On top of that, the quality of life updates we're constantly getting with each patch are super nice. The dev team has shown great dedication to listening to and addressing player feedback. For example, they realized navigating through the TV mode could get monotonous, so they removed it from the main story missions and eventually replaced it with a platformer mode that's way more fun. Not to mention the addition of rolling for drive discs, this game's relics, through a means that doesn't require spending your daily charge is great for how much it saves time on building characters. The game's world building and setting of new Eridu is also really interesting. I remember seeing a post a long time ago on Twitter saying Zenless is the Kekai Sensen of gacha games, and as a big Kekai Sensen fan, that is such an apt simile. By the way, since I brought it up, I'd like to ask anyone much more talented than me to make a Zenless version of the first Kekai Sensen ED, you know, the one where they're all dancing on stage. I would kill to see that. Despite how dystopian the premise of The Last City Left Standing sounds, never does the game get super melodramatic. It does lean into a serious tone at times in the story. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's not all doom and gloom either. The feature of hanging out with your agents is a nice touch which communicates through gameplay. The point of this game is showing how people live in this wacky city as much as it's about this big world-ending conspiracy. New Eridu is a melting pot of so many different cultures and groups of people, so it makes sense a major theme of the game is forming connections with those from various walks of life. And I love how as of 1.4 you can move around the city as any of your agents. Finally, I can now be a Billy Kinney at all times. Speaking of the characters, that's what I want to touch on next. I'll save my thoughts for the character writing near the end of the video, but I do want to praise the character designs. No hyperbole, these are the best designs for characters in any hoyoverse game. Yes, there are standouts in the other games, but as a whole package, Zenless so far has them all beat. And if you happen to disagree, hey, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. No, I'm kidding. They certainly take a less is more approach to the designs compared to other hoyoverse games, which greatly benefits their looks in my eyes. There's not a ton of little details that get lost or make the design feel cluttered. I remember some people nitpicking the game because they couldn't tell based on the designs alone who was an A rank and who was an S rank.
Said this a lot of times, I'll say it again. You put all of these characters in a row, I would not be able to point out the 5-star for the life of me.
However, I would argue that's something to praise this game for. Think about it, doesn't that mean every agent, regardless of rank, gets an equally solid design? I don't mind that Billy and Ju Yuen, two of my favorite characters, both look like they could be S rank, because what should matter is that a great amount of care and passion went into everyone's look. In my opinion, the whole if everyone's special no one is argument doesn't really stand here. I'd much prefer this over a noticeable downgrade from 5-star to 4-star designs. On top of that, the concept of Thyrans as this anthropomorphic species really helps in diversifying the cast. We have Von Lycon and Big Ol' Ben, who are full-on furries, but we also have Nekomiya and Jane, who have subtler animal traits. Now, could they go about diversifying the cast even more? For sure! I want to see them broaden the horizon with what kind of body types, design tropes, and racial or ethnic identities we see in a gacha game. But so far, so good. Look, hoyoverse, just one chubby woman in this game, and my life is yours. I'm being so dead ass. The designs of the bosses look just as good. Nineveh captures a grand level of scope by its size and its color scheme differing from most other ethereals. The weekly bosses you fight in Notorious Hunt are amazing for how creative and badass they are. The best example is Pompey's ethereal form. He goes from riding a giant monster motorcycle to lifting it up and swinging it like a club in his second form. It's so fucking cool. You kidding me? I know everyone talks about the amazing animation on the playable characters, mainly in cutscenes and trailers, but the animations of the bosses are stellar too. Before we talk about the story, which if you know my content you know is my bread and butter, if you're enjoying the video so far, why not leave a like? Also consider subscribing to the channel. While I mainly make character lore content for HSR, I tend to do other videos like this every once in a while. If any of that sounds up your alley, definitely sub to the channel. Every subscriber means a lot for a relatively small creator like myself. And now onto Zenless' story. I still agree with the points I made in my first Zenless video. Y'all are sleeping on this game's narrative. In case it wasn't clear about the fact I've analyzed dozens of HSR characters, I tend to obsess over character writing in games and shows. I believe characters are the most essential thing to get right when making a compelling story. That's why, despite my issues with Penacony's storytelling, I still argue it's the best storyline in HSR because of its emphasized focus on the characters. In that regard, Zenless passes with flying colors. Focusing every chapter on a central character, and by extension the rest of their faction, really helps to flesh out the cast and make the conflicts feel more personal. Like I said in that previous video, the game is written like a Saturday morning cartoon, where we have a main plot for the episode, while the serialized elements build in the background. Continuing with that metaphor, Chapter 5 is the season finale. Think of the episode Secrets from Ben 10, or The Apprentice two-parter from the original Teen Titans, where they pay off all the small serialized elements sprinkled throughout the season. However, there's still a central character of this chapter, that being Oshimi Miyabi. Even though this functionally serves the climax to everything that came before, bringing every faction we've met together for one grand battle, Miyabi is the star of this show. I think it helps that we got a good amount of insight into Section 6 as a team in the previous patch with Yanagi's special episode, so we could save time and focus more on Miyabi on an individual level. In fact, that's the biggest thing Zenless' writing has going for it, the amount of time the story takes. Again, despite how much I love Penacony, I do see areas where it could have been trimmed down and been much shorter, especially 2.2. But in Zenless, every chapter and special episode averages around 2 to 3 hours, and throughout those hours, they strike a good balance between battles and cutscenes. I think that's the perfect length for storylines and games like this. Not too short where it feels rushed or has a lot of missed potential, but also not egregiously long where you're stuck in cutscene hell waiting for a chance to have a single battle. This is once again the Zenless team using a less is more approach to outstanding effect. On top of that, the writing and dialogue has pretty consistently been super good. I've become so used to the typical gacha game writing, that being long-winded explanations and a ton of rosy language, but character interactions and dialogue feel so natural in this one. I know people have memed on the characters saying words like Riz, but unironically, I think the game is good at making characters speak like real people. A natural benefit of this narrative being more character-centric than plot-centric is that the characters are well realized. In other gacha games, there are a good handful of characters I don't care for or dislike, but I enjoy and love every character in ZZZ because of their charming dialogue, personalities, and dynamics with each other. I got as excited as the average Marvel fan every time a past character showed up during the battle against Springer, because the previous chapters succeeded in getting me invested in every one of them. These aren't the most complexly written characters in all of fiction, but like what I was getting at when talking about the gameplay, simplicity is good so long as it's done well, and it's done very well in Zenless. So don't blindly listen to people who call this a gooner game and nothing more. If you enjoy playing gacha games, I'm asking you to genuinely give this one a chance. Zenless Zone Zero, for my money, is one of the best gacha games on the market right now. The game's overall style really resonates with me. I'm a day one player and have not missed a single day to log in. The game is a blast, enough said. It may not be as popular as hoyoverse's other big titles, but this game and its younger dev team show a lot of promise for the future. I'm excited to see what parts of the city life we'll get to see in upcoming patches. That's all from me. Thank you for watching. It was nice to have a video like this in between all my HSR content where I talk about my other favorite gacha game. I love these two games equally, just for different reasons. I'd be down to cover Zenless again in the future, but how soon that happens depends on how this video performs. So please, leave a like, share it around with friends, leave a comment telling me what you think of Zenless. Do you agree with my assessment that it's amazing, or do you have glaring issues with it? Who's your favorite character? Let me know! And as a cherry on top, why not subscribe to the channel? My goal for 2025 is to reach 2,000 subscribers, and I fully believe we can do it. Subscribing doesn't cost a penny, you get quality content like this in your feed, and most of all, it'll put a smile on my face. Also, consider checking out my Twitch, linked in the description, as I plan on streaming more often this year. Who knows, I may even stream new Zenless updates when they come out. Thank you for coming by the Matsunoki Cafe, and until we meet again, take care.